Okay. Hey guys, it's Munoz Plays. I'm here playing Process of Elimination demo. It has this 999 Danganronpa VLR Ace Attorney visual novel kind of vibe. Those are the kind of games I like. Turn it down some to make sure you can hear me. Gallery. Let's begin. It's a rainy day in June with clouds covering the entire nation. The live broadcast of a new gaming release is suddenly disrupted. Can't even read it. These voices won't shut up. Alright, pardon me, but I'm conducting a quick survey. On one side, a recent grad. On the other, a total shut-in. Who do you despise more? Quick survey. Total shut-in. What is that? Someone that doesn't want to... Who do I hate more? Oh. And these pictures represent, I guess, like a graduate. I don't know, man. I don't hate any of them. It's a weird-ass question, but okay, the person on the right. Thank you for your response. Now, without any further ado, this loathsome shut-in shall disappear before your very eyes. Okay. This individual is hereby condemned to the fate of a quarter dog. What the fuck? Oh, dear consumers and adults. How did it feel discovering the revival to some press of a button? Quite good, no? Downright refreshing. Oh, I should be reading this. But things don't end with that. Not just the broadcast of victims, but others killed in the same manner are soon discovered. The common thread, at least 2 victims are always found at once, with their lock screen set to the symbol of the quartering Duke. The police pour all of their resources into investigating the case, but turn up nothing. Pair by pair, more and more bodies surface until half a year later, over 100 have been killed since that first broadcast. The sheer number of victims and brutality of the murder is fleeing society into chaos. According to I grip my phone tight as I read articles about the murders, speaking aloud despite myself. I've seen the effects of this Duke all around me. People are terrified to go outside, and stores have even shortened their hours. What's worse, he's gained some traction among young copycats taken by his charisma. With the police overwhelmed, small private agencies like mine are in huge demand. Apparently, even the FBI is getting involved. Past events have already stoked the need for this line of work, but the Duke has only made things worse. The media jeers at the detective craze. Mr. Gunjoji says the ideal society is a peaceful one where detectives are starved for work. He may be right about that. As I lay and wait for my mark, I recall my mentor's words and sigh to myself. I work for the Gunjoji Detective Agency. It's probably one of the pioneer agencies around, though nowadays we're buzzing with activity. I'm a student working part-time, but they plan to recruit me once I've graduated. The situation must be getting pretty serious nationwide. An ideal society has no use for detectives, huh? The thought alone makes me a bit miserable. Is this the reality faced by all aspiring detectives? Okay, that's enough of that. My worries run wild when I'm on my own. It's a bad habit, but I've got to focus on work. There he is. My mark is on the move. After a moment's pause, the man clad in a trench coat starts off down the road again. I make sure I'm out of earshot before calling in my report, just as my mentor had instructed. Watsu here. Target's on the move. He's headed where you predicted, Mr. Gunjoji. I'll stay on the lookout for any traps as I continue tailing him. Hiding my footsteps, I follow the man cautiously. He's our top suspect in the serial pet killer case. And according to Mr. Gunjoji, he may be armed. Whatever I do, I absolutely cannot allow my presence to be detected. Can I help you? Suddenly the man is right in front of me, and I reflexively take a step back. Did he notice me following him despite the cover of darkness and my voice being out of earshot? No, I'm all good. I'm running late for cram school. As I try to move past him, the man blocks my path. I doubt you'll make it in time if you keep matching my pace and stopping every time I do. Your expression gives everything away. -1 point. Not that you should really be that surprised. You would only stop on a completely empty street like this if you're tailing someone. That or checking if someone's tailing you. So the very act of pausing here was a trap. Damn. How could I make such a rookie mistake? I didn't even register with me. I have no one to blame but myself. You're a fresh face. Who are you? Certainly no detective or policeman. Giving your nosy slipshod attempt at shadowing me. Or noisy. No, detective. Bullet rushes to my face. I've poured everything into becoming a detective. Its words sting worse than a slap to the face. There's no way I can just let it slide. Don't patronize me. I'm Mato Hojo, assistant at the Gunjoji Detective Agency. We already know you've been snooping around here, and that you have a knife. You're suspected of severe animal abuse. Now come quietly, I'm turning you into the police. I'd hope the edge of my voice would intimidate him, but the man only lets out an exasperated sigh. Actually giving out your name? -3 points. This isn't some TV show, kid. Real detectives never reveal their true identities. I bet you can't get enough of those over-the-top crime dramas, can you? As much as I hate it, he reads me like a completely open book. The moment a detective reveals himself always seems so cool on television. But he's right, sharing your identity in the line of work is far too dangerous. Something to keep in mind next time. Does the detective's assistant's plan to arrest me on his own? A grown man you fully believe to be armed? The man slides his hand into his pocket and readies his stance. He's clearly holding a weapon. This isn't the first time I've gone up against someone armed with a knife, but I still feel my hair standing on end. My heart slams frantically against my ribcage as I freeze up, willing my trembling legs to remain steady. No, I know I'm not ready for that, so instead I call for backup. I just need to buy time until my boss arrives. You think you can buy yourself time, Mr. Wannabe Detective? I will, in fact I have to. One of the pets you killed belonged to a classmate of mine. She's still terrified and traumatized as a result. Being a detective, it's my duty to stop you. Bringing you to justice is the only way to restore peace in her life. I'll be damned if I let you escape. I tear off my jacket and wrap it around my left wrist to form a makeshift glove, a guard against his knife. In my dominant hand, I grip a pair of handcuffs like brass knuckles. Armed as best as I can, I face off with the man. The man just watches me, showing no signs of movement. Good, he's probably never seen anyone use handcuffs for self-defense before. It's only natural he'd be wary. I learned this trick from Mr. Gunjoji. What's great about it is that it never fails to catch people by surprise the first time. I need to stall this out, even if it's just for a little while. Keeping this face-off going is my top priority. The Ikusa school of arrest techniques, I take it. Quite the rare fighting style. Picked up, boy. I'm struck speechless. What are the odds he'd know this tactic? I fumble for an answer. My mind goes blank. Paralyzed in the face of an enemy, -5 points. Don't expect odd techniques to face a man of my age. It'll work on your typical criminal, however. And you're quick to adapt when all odds are stacked against you. That's an exemplary quality in a detective. You get 10 points, kid. I see why the chief endorsed you. The man suddenly backs down and speaks with a smile. Wait, what is this, another trap? Glancing my way, he continues. Sorry for the misunderstanding, but the culprit you've been looking for is the victim's neighbor. I've already handed him over to the police. No job, no comfort, no direction in life, until he became obsessed with the quartering Duke and decided to follow in his footsteps. He killed animals. Who are you exactly? Upon hearing my question, the man pulls out what looks to be a tablet out of his pocket. The screen shows a familiar symbol and the words Detective Alliance. The Detective Alliance? I can't help but yell out the name. The Detective Alliance, the very organization I revere more than anything else. That's right. I'm part of the Detective Alliance, the only government-recognized detective organization in the country. I'm sure an aspiring detective like yourself has heard of it. Of course. It's a good organization. The Alliance has solved every case it's ever had. Looks like you're a fanboy. As I calm down, my face begins to burn bright red. I let my excitement carry me away on a totally nerdy rant. Still, the Detective Alliance has been the dream I've aspired to ever since I learned about it from Mr. Gunjoji. That D-pad you're holding is a hallmark of none other than the Alliance itself. You really are a detective, aren't you? Bingo, call me Senior Detective. Been in the Alliance for eons, though these days I mostly scout recruits and provide support. Still, none of the younger generation can out-investigate me, especially with cases as cold as that pet killer one. As prideful as he sounds, I can tell by his expression that he's speaking purely from well-earned experience. He has an air about him that's unlike anyone I've ever met, the kind that can only come from a member of the Detective Alliance. As secretive as it is, the Detective Alliance has grown more famous by the day thanks to the recent detective craze. Even now, the news is full of stories about the cases cracked by Detective Alliance members. Okay. Then there's all the terrorist plots in the wake of the Quartering Duke incidents that they've thwarted with almost zero leads. The whole reason I joined a detective agency was to carve a path to earning a spot alongside those detectives one day. Looked up to by detectives far and wide, the Detective Alliance is the absolute paragon for those pursuing justice. I apologize for my rudeness, Senior Detective, sir. Shouting accusations at you when I couldn't be more clueless. Don't be, I was egging you on after all. No need for the sir either. In our field, the alias itself serves as a title of respect. The senior detective amicably shrugs off my apology. His unshakable calm only makes me wary of where this is going. Then, as if noticing how on edge I look, he continues to speak. I'll cut to the chase. I'm here to scout you. We plan to meet at our base of operation to discuss how to handle the Quartering incident. We want you to attend. Huh? I respond lamely, unable to fully grasp what he's saying. I'll say it again. We want you to join our investigation of the Quartering Duke case as a member of the Detective Alliance. What? The sound I make is so shrill and alien, I scare even myself. I pinch my cheek to make sure this isn't some dream. Ow, nope, not a dream. Maybe this is Mr. Gunjoji's idea of a prank. No sign of him anywhere, so probably not. Which means... Wait, this isn't a joke, right? Not at all. We've received direct orders from the government to put an end to the Quartering Duke's reign of terror. A chosen few detectives will convene at HQ to solve this case and take down the most vile, homicidal maniac of the century. My mind goes blank again, but if this is real, then my dream is coming true far sooner than I ever imagined. There's so much I can learn, so many accomplished detectives I can meet. Ideal detectives like the ones I aspire to be, the kind who could have prevented the tragedy that unfolded before my eyes 10 years ago. I'm sure you have a million questions, but I want to hear what you intend first. Will you join us at the table and help stop the Quartering Duke? Give me your answer, yes or no. How can I hesitate? I state my intentions loud and clear. The moment I try to answer, Senior Detective's arms hook around my neck and began to squeeze like a vice. It's so tight I can't breathe. I flail and kick frantically, but all I hit is the air and the ground below my feet. I feel a prick as a slender needle pierces the skin of my neck. What feels like liquid ice begins to pump through my veins. My skin turns pale, my limbs go numb, and my strength fades. My vision blurs, and as my legs start to give out, I sag against the man restraining me. And then, as if the stars have been swept from the night sky, everything goes black. Well, it's true that I asked. There was never actually the option to refuse. For you see, you have a duty to attend, the Detective Elimination Project.
I haven't felt this way in a long time. My consciousness drags sluggishly, as if I'm trapped in a thick mud, helplessly sinking deeper and deeper. As much as I try to shut it out, that traumatic nightmare pulls me in once again. In my dream, I'm running down a dark, frigid corridor, holding on tight to the hand of a girl my age. Watto, I can't run anymore. You need to go on without me. You have to escape. What are you saying, Saika? We're getting out here together. I made a promise, didn't I? But my legs. The girl is beautiful, with bewitching black hair, pure white skin, and light purple eyes reminiscent of Hydrangea's. I remember nothing else about her, but I'm sure that at the time she was very precious to me. And then, right before my eyes, a blade swings down and slashes her, covering her in a burst of red. Psycho, why? I clutch onto her before she can collapse and face the criminal that did this to her. The massive, unmistakably inhuman silhouette emits a strange mechanical whir. Its murderous intent is nearly enough to pierce through flesh as it focuses on me. I prepare to die as no more than a child. But at that moment... Go, Watto. The girl in my arm strains to get the words out as her voice begins to fail. I might escape if I leave her now and run. But maybe I can still save her. There's no way I can just abandon her. You have to live. Become the hero who will save everyone. No. That's all I can remember. My memory cuts out completely, as if the next page has been torn out. However, since I'm alive, it's obvious what came after. I traded Saika's life to save my own. This was the mass kidnapping and confinement incident I was in a decade ago. The reason I became a detective. A shadowy organization took 16 children and locked them in an underground prison for a month, never to be caught. Am I supposed to just live with the sacrifices that came out of that, like Saika? I was too incompetent to save even one girl, but I refused to leave it there. My heart and soul demanded to see it through. I'll become a great detective, a hero, and one day I'll reveal the truth behind what happened 10 years ago. I finally come to. My eyelids are so heavy, just opening them is undertaking. That was one long dream. It was one I've had countless times before, of that fateful day I swore I'd become a detective. That incident remains unsolved to this day. What really happened all those years ago? As a survivor, the vague testimony I provided didn't help much. The case has gone cold for 10 years now. I've got to find the truth, to track down the villain who killed Saika, the girl I owe my life to. That's why I entered this line of work. But that aside, my whole body is aching right now. My mattress feels like a rock and smells like rust. I managed to pry my eyes open, but everything's pitch black. What's more, I can't even move. My limbs are restrained like I've been wrapped in some kind of sleeping bag. Don't tell me I'm trapped in here. What's going on? Mustering all my strength, I try to worm my way out. Suddenly, my vision is flooded by bright light. Whatever restrained me slackens as my own momentum forces me upright. The sight I'm met with is a forest. Are those ocean waves? Lush woodland lies before my eyes. Beneath me is an old rusty locker. Guess that's what I've been stuffed in just a second ago. My whole body's killing me. How long was I crammed in this thing? Who would do this to me? And why? When did I even get here? What the heck is going on? My head swirls in confusion as I try to recall what happened last. That's right. I met that old man, senior detective, and then... The haziness clears and I begin to remember. I was suddenly attacked by senior detective and eventually lost consciousness. He claimed to be part of the Detective Alliance, but maybe that was just a bluff. Wait, if he was lying about being part of the DA, that means the pet killer is still at large. I've got to get back ASAP. I reached to grab my smartphone, but after a frantic search, I realized that my front pockets have been emptied. As I continued searching my person, I noticed an unfamiliar weight in my back pocket. That's weird, I don't normally keep stuff back there. Suspicious. I carefully plucked the foreign object from my pocket. It's a tablet device, like an oversized smartphone, more or less. The moment I see it, though, a chill runs through my spine. No way, is this... I lift it up, touching the buttons out of habit, then a notification appears. Authentication successful.
Good morning, Wato Hojo. Seems you got your D-pad working, hum. Sure, you were drugged, but sakes alive. Boy, out cold for 3 days straight? -1... Oh, it's the dude.
As the tablet comes to life, a familiar voice emanates from the speaker.
This is Senior Detective, the agent who brought you here. We met 3 days ago. Though to you, I suppose it did feel like it only just happened.
Wait, I was out for 3 days? So Senior Detective's the one reaching out to me. I knew I recognized his voice from before. Still, his tone is pretty nonchalant for a kidnapper. I can't help but feel irritated.
Well, I'm certain you think I've deceived you. You are, in fact, the newest member of the Detective Alliance. If you doubt me, view the detective roster on your D-pad, the electronic device you know as a trademark of the Alliance. As an official member of the Alliance, your personal information should already be recorded in the database.
I open up the tablet and look through the roster he mentioned. There I find my profile, beginning with my full legal name. Wato Hojo, Detective Rank number 100. Yep, that's me. It even lists his details only Mr. Gunjoji would know, like my skills and work experience. Ouch, my special skill is housework? I'm no great detective, sure, but that's a low blow. I wonder what else is on here. It lists other detectives' ranks and aliases too, not to mention intel and investigation statuses on recent atrocities. From the latest incidents all the way back to before I was born, it's a robust selection of key documents about cases infamous to the public. Far too much for one person to read, frankly. Even at a glance, most of the content seemed to be highly technical in nature. This is way too much effort for a prank. Meaning the DA really did recruit me. Can I trust what Senior Detective says? So I've actually been recruited by the Detective Alliance? This isn't a joke, right, Senior Detective, sir?
You're listening to a recording at present. An emergency came up, so I've hidden you in the woods while I go to address it.
So that's how it is. I assume this was a phone call, but I guess that's not the case. The device's settings must have been configured to play the voice message as soon as it finished authenticating.
When you're ready, open the map on your D-pad, then make your way through the woods and head to the manor at the peak. Once there, you should meet the others. I promise to head over myself once I'm able, so just wait for me in the front of the manor. And one last thing, do not, under any circumstances, enter the structure you'll see along the way. Unauthorized entry will result in far worse than a subtraction of points. Follow my orders like your very life depends on it.
Senior Detective speaks without pause. The moment he's finished, the sound cuts out abruptly. I stand there in a daze holding the tablet, my new D-pad in one hand. I lift my head and peer through the tree line. making out the shape of a mountain with an imposing manor resting on its summit. Is that the building a senior detective was referring to? While I don't fully trust it, my options are limited. Pressed for choice, I open the map application on my tablet. Various graphics appear on screen displaying the surrounding area. All that blue surrounding everything must be the ocean, which means I've been taken to a remote island. Morgue, is that the name of this place? Never heard of it. Could I be in foreign country or something? Either way, getting all gloomy won't solve things. I use my fingers to zoom in on the map, hoping to find more info to go off of. The screen then displays my current location and a few details about the vicinity. Just as Senior Detective said, there seems to be some sort of manor atop the peak, but another structure near the tree line. Without any clue to guide me, I decide to follow Senior Detective's instructions for now. Oh, I need to register my detective alias on here, but I don't have any talents, and I definitely regret putting something random. Nope, I've got nothing. The tablet hums quietly as I trek on. Before long, I see a parting in the trees. A massive heliport stretches before me. To its right sits a relatively small 3-story building. Though it blocks my line of sight, I assume that the manor is just up ahead at the top of the hill. The structure here must be the one Senior Detective warned me against entering. It's not like I really trust the guy, so I'm admittedly a bit curious to sneak a peek inside. But as soon as the thought crosses my mind, a sudden sense of unease washes over me. On my tablet's map, I see numerous circular icons displayed within the building's wall. And not just a handful either. Dozens of icons crowd around like ants swarming over food. Judging by my own marker on the map, I think these icons are all people, but if that's the case, what does this mean? My apprehension refuses to die down. I get the sense that going in there would only end in regret, just as Senior Detective had warned. I need to decide my next step carefully. I don't like the way this dude put a needle in me, like, out of nowhere. So F him. No doubt about it. I gotta check this building out first. It'd be risky to just blindly trust Senior Detective after all. These circular icons are obviously people, which would indicate others are already in there. It makes a lot more sense to meet with them here instead of wandering around on my own. Senior Detective must be trying to prevent me from joining up with anyone else. It's gotta be it. I speak aloud, desperately trying to recall my frantic heartbeat. With great trepidation, I slowly approach the entrance. A dark shadow is faintly visible from the glass door of the building. Just as I had suspected, there are other people here. Without a moment of hesitation, I push the glass door open and rush inside. Hello, I'm a new member of the Detective Alliance, and my voice hitches and my eyes widen like saucers as my train of thought comes to a grinding halt, all from the shock of seeing the horrific scene that lay before me. A large mound rests in the open space beyond the entryway, a haphazard pile, blackened and dead, reeking of rotten cheese and fetid garbage. This song slams, but it's scary. Alright. Convincing myself that it's fake, I draw closer. Then I lock eyes with one. Its cloudy gaze, a stark reminder of our shared mortality. It's heartbreakingly clear this corpse once belonged to a living being. My stomach lurches, its contents spilling from my mouth. I can't take it. Sinking to my knees, I suck in heavy breaths as my heart hammers so hard it threatens to burst. Senior detective must have known. Regret fills me for not heeding his warning. I want to run, to break away and leave this place forever. I desperately focus all my energy into every lungful of air I take. My pulse won't slow down. In fact, it keeps growing faster. My chest burns like it's on fire. No matter how hard I try to inhale, my chest only aches more and more, until finally, I can no longer breathe. What's happening? I can't. My instincts tell me I've got to go outside. My limbs are numb from the lack of oxygen, heavy and useless, as if I'm deep underwater. I crawl, inching along like a caterpillar, but the exit is too far away. A feeling of doom overwhelms me as my strength ebbs away. I can't breathe. I need air. I can't take any more. Help me. The pain is agonizing. All my thoughts leave my head, despite knowing no one will save me. Help. Someone please. I can't breathe. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me. Something snaps. My vision fails, but at least the pain in my chest is finally gone. With a start, I see the heliport stretching before me once more. I take deep breaths trying to calm myself. The air tastes good somehow. Not sure why, I feel like I just woke up from a nightmare. I was deciding whether I should check out that building or head to the manor. I need to stay calm and make the right choice here. I decided to do what Senior Detective suggested and make my way towards the manor at the peak of the mountain. My mentor always chided me for being so rash. Maybe I wouldn't have been inducted if I had just waited for him like I was supposed to. What's more, I get this deep feeling of dread whenever I look at the building to the right of the heliport. I should follow Senior Detective's advice, especially considering that he must have a way better grasp of the situation than me. What is this place, really? This island? I make my way up the mountain, quietly grumbling to myself, when suddenly a chill runs down my spine. I quickly turn to look behind me, but the only thing in sight is that building. I get the strange feeling that going there would have had irrevocable consequences. My uneasiness lingers, but I turn my back and keep going. I continue up the twisting mountain path for about 15 minutes, until at last I arrive at the manor door. It was a gentle incline, but I'm still spent. I wearily take a seat, resting my back against the outside wall of the manor. It's the exact kind of setting you expect in a mystery novel. The manor's exterior speaks to its age and smells faintly of lumber. During my approach, I could only gasp at the structure's imposing beauty. Upon closer inspection, I notice its windows are constructed from an unnaturally thick glass, impossible to break or peek through. I stand up and circle the perimeter, but there don't appear to be any points of entry aside from the front door. If anything, it seems like it was built to house prisoners, not residents. This definitely isn't your average manor. What on earth could be awaiting within? I slow down and catch my breath. My hand is damp with sweat as I turn the knob of the manor's only entrance. A loud clank rings out as it swings open with ease. The interior seems normal enough. Am I just overthinking things? I ask weakly as I take a step inside. As soon as I let go of the knob, the door closes on its own. Not one moment later... Huh? A sharp pain suddenly erupts in my head, causing me to stagger involuntarily. A shadow at my feet expands rapidly. My spine tingles as I feel something rush quickly towards me. Without even a moment of hesitation, I kick out and leap to the side. However, something slams hard against the back of my skull. The impact sends me flying. My vision swims, my mind already fading. I find myself unable to stand. Then the world fades to white. Yo guys, this chump ain't waking up. How's about I kick him around a bit? Don't be so violent, Rowdy. I hear voices nearby. I told sides of Dolphin here, violence is so not cool. Why don't we just, like, dump a bucket of water on him instead? That idea is just extreme. Downtown. Let's try and consider our options rationally. Cardiac massage, okay. No need for that, I think he's waking up. I open my eyes, but my vision is blurred. The dizzying pain in my head is unbearable. There's a constant ringing in my ears, and my body won't move an inch. A wave of nausea comes over me, but I manage to stop myself from groaning. What happened? I vaguely recall being hit by something the moment I stepped into the manor. At last, my vision finally clears up. Who are you people? My eyes refocus. I'm met with several unfamiliar faces and a sturdy rope binding me. I'm tied up, surrounded by a group of strangers. What in the world is going on? You lousy intruder! A girl in a sports jacket grabs me by the throat, glowering menacing. She looks to be in her early teens, but her strength is incredible. I can't get a peep out while trapped in her iron grip. You got some stones jumping us on our home turf. Who are you spying for, huh? Huh? Calm down, Rowdy Detective. To hell with that. This jamoke might have off some of our own. Plus, he won't even give us an answer. I ain't just gonna let that slide. Well, he can't talk if you're actively choking him now, can he? Huh? You got a point, Techie. The girl in the sports jacket let me go, then immediately falls to her knees, touching her head to the floor as she apologizes. It's okay, you don't need to grovel about it. I'm still in the dark here, but I get that you have every reason to suspect me. That checks out, but it doesn't make us right. One bad turn deserves another, so come on, hit me. No way am I gonna do that. Besides, I can't. I'm all tied up. I have literally no idea what's happening. Who are you? As I ask the so-called rowdy detective my questions, the boy in the wheelchair approaches. I take it you are here on your own volition. You say you aren't informed on the situation, right? Yeah, all I know is that the senior detective brought me here. Senior detective? The boy called Techie Detective cups his chin in thought. I checked your eyes to verify you were unconscious. We'll just assume it wasn't a self-induced ruse for now. But Senior Detective bringing you to HQ? That doesn't sit well with me. Where do you fit in with the rest of us? What do you have to do with the Cornering Duke investigation? Yo, Earth Detective. Sorry, I was lost in thought. Rowdy Detective pokes Techie, snapping him out of his trance. He dips his head in apology. I'm as confused as ever right now, but I haven't heard of these two detectives before. Does that mean all of them are... Anyway, we should let the guy loose. Hold on, Downtown Detective. What? Sorry, it's just... We should wait. The trendy girl responds with indignation, causing the frail boy to tear up. Nevertheless, he doesn't back down. Our enemy wields a deadly poison that can kill over 20 people. If this is him, he can wipe us all out by scattering a trace amount of it. Freeing him At least a pat down would be far too dangerous. Oh yeah, I guess I got a little antsy. Even though her idea got rejected, the trendy girl called Downtown Detective laughs as if nothing happened. Thanks, Doleful Detective. No wonder you're number 14. Mad props. Nonsense, I'm just paranoid. Oh, we talked about the research facility. Was that the lab I just checked out? The somewhat androgynous youth speaks with a voice full of fear. Victims like those in the research facility, the comic catches my attention, but now isn't the time to be asking questions. Instead, I hold my tongue and continue to watch in silence. Fear not, Sir Doleful Detective, even should his intentions prove nefarious. I, Armored Detective, swear to protect you. Well, I didn't know that was a dude. I know that one on the left was a dude. The armored man rests one hand on the youth he called Doleful Detective and the other on Downtown Detective. Thanks, Armor. Physical exertion is a lot for me, so I appreciate it. Though the boy smiles at Armed Detective, Downtown Detective waves off the gauntlet, looking utterly repulsed. Yeah, nah, I'm good. You're like suffocating me. Would you back off, number 32? Ah, you recall my rank, despite mine being the only one here that is lower than 30. My heart is stirred. I swear my life to protect you. How annoying can you get? Armored Detective happily strides closer to Downtown. He doesn't seem to notice a look of genuine disgust on her face. Moving on, we should touch base with the chief on our D-pads. We're lucky our devices signal allow us to communicate from the manor to their research facility. A man who looks like a corporate employee joins the conversation. He holds a familiar tablet-like device in his hands, a D-pad. My heart beats fast in spite of myself as I guess at the nature of my company. Thanks, Workaholic. You're always so quick on your feet. Adulting 101, plan, do, check, act. As far as Sleeping Beauty here, I got in touch with the chief and he is indeed a fellow member of the DA. To be safe, I like to confirm with you directly. This is no mistake, right? Right, no mistake about it. Though I only just got my D-pad, honestly, I'm completely new to this. Everything clicks into place as I speak with the man referred to as Workaholic. I knew it. They really are part of the Alliance. And these aren't just any average members. They're so famous, even a nobody like me knows them. To discuss how to handle the quartering Duke. The only question that remains is, why would a new recruit who lacks even a proper alias be here at the Detective Alliance HQ? Were you also invited to participate in our discussion regarding how to deal with the quartering Duke? Yes, Senior Detective explained it to me. Oh, that's right, I have my own D-pad too. So the one in your shirt pocket really was yours. My apologies, I took the liberty of searching you. When? I don't know how, but Workaholic is clearly holding my device. The fact he could swipe without me noticing is terrifying. Now then, if you would allow me to borrow your hand for just a moment. Workaholic grabs my hand to bypass the D-pad's fingerprint authentication, navigating to the message application with practice ease. He seems to be checking my invitation to the Quartering Duke meeting, which I had been reading just before I felt unconscious. I see, it's the exact same message as the one I received. It appears you truly will be joining us. That being said, anyone capable of infiltrating this island would have no trouble faking an email. Workaholic's smile turns grim. His piercing gaze cuts right through me, making my body flare up with goosebumps. Making lousy knockoffs, eh? You're asking for a one-way ticket to hell, pal, courtesy of my fist. You don't give off that unique presence the rest of us have. Just who are you? We lack sufficient data for any conclusions. For now, we have no choice but to keep him under surveillance. The other detectives watch me warily, their eyes make it abundantly clear that they are on high alert. I completely understand why they suspect my exceptional circumstances, but that doesn't make their look sting any less. Okay. Dwelling on Doleful's detectives' unsettling remarks earlier leads me to wonder what happens to the Detective Alliance. Look, being on edge won't help us at all, so why don't we just bring them along? We still gotta find Old Man Senior, so it's not like we have time to stand around. Our minds are as one, lady downtown. I fully concur. Our minds are miles apart, weirdo, but whatevs. Call me an airhead, but I'm with armor on this. Besides, I know my mystery story. Splitting up would be like total suicide. Mystery stories, you say? Techie smiles wryly as Rowdy grabs the rope tying me up. Yeah, downtown's got the right idea. Rowdy detective tears my restraints apart as if they're made of paper. I can now move freely except for my bound hands. But still, what raw physical strength. It's hard to believe a girl smaller than me can be so powerful. Mistrusting each other is exactly what the Quartering Duke wants, so for now I'll trust you too. I wish you'd ask before acting, but at least I do agree with the notion. My search didn't turn up anything suspicious. Until further notice, you'll be coming with us. Seeing as this is a race against the clock, I'll have to catch you up as we move. Thank you. Detectives head out, one after another. Now that the mood has lightened up a bit, I can't help but let out a sigh of relief. I've seen plenty of suspects get interrogated. Whenever did I expect to be the one in the hot seat? Life sure keeps you on your toes. That reminds me, what should we call you, intruder? You don't have a detective alias yet, right? This is your chance to pick one. Well, my name is... I barely stopped myself from answering downtown with my real name. Keeping your name secret is the first rule of the Detective Alliance. It could be deadly for your identity to get out between cases. That's why upon joining the DA, members are given a one-word code name based on a defining characteristic of theirs. That code name is known as a detective alias. I've longed to have one of my own ever since Mr. Gonjoji told me about them. My detective alias is, despite my yearning for one, it's hard to think of anything on the spot. I have no experience, skills, or defining characteristics. To be perfectly honest, I couldn't even begin to guess why I was led into the detective agency, or alliance. What? Is it that hard? You're older than me. Shouldn't you have more life experience? Like, seriously, dude, I can't even with you. Sorry, this is really embarrassing. Well, think of one together. What are your skills? Anything you're good at in all the cases you've been in so far? I'm good at finding cats. They like me. Downtown gives a deep sigh. My amateur status fills me with shame. Alrighty then, how about we call you Incompetent Detective? Now that's just cruel. You might as well be saying I'm good for nothing. I mean, not that it isn't true, but still, I'd obviously prefer a different name. But before I can object, hey everyone, until we think of something better, here's the Incompetent Detective, okay? Everyone's picking on me. Incompetent detective rapidly gains the approval of the rest, so rapidly that it's too late to dispute it. Ah, look how fast your name caught on. I'm so happy for you, incompetent. It doesn't make me happy at all. Despite my protest, downtown detective ignores me, flashing a devilish smile. Thus did I become incompetent detective, an official member of the Detective Alliance. Bright red carpet covers the floor and landscape paintings adorn the walls of the corridor. The detectives explain the situation as we walk down the passageway. The scent of the roses on display around us drifting in the air. This location to which you've been brought is an island that doesn't appear on any map. The DAs use it as base of operations for years. It has two buildings. Snarks, a research facility for investigation support and gear development, and Gormenghast, a manor for overnight stays. The original plan was for everyone to discuss the situation in the manor. We were to review dioramas of various quartering Duke cases. That was the plan? Rowdy detective suddenly punches the wall beside her, causing the other nearby walls to tremble from the impact. When we got here, a bunch of detectives from HQ had been snuffed out by poison. All 22 members at the research facility gone. All 22 of them? Every hair on my body stands on end at the unthinkable news. Even among history's more infamous mass murderers, few had a death toll of more than 20. Killing 22 people at once is beyond all reason. The culprit piled their bodies at the facility's entrance as if they were not but rubbish. Such savagery is no less than inhuman. Seeing that heap of corpus would have killed your appetite big time, incompetent, and the poison gas filling the room would have killed you for real. Lucky you didn't go in there, huh? Yes, I did. A heap of corpses. Just imagining it makes me feel faint. And that's not even taking the deadly gas into account. Maybe senior detective knew about that gruesome scene, so he sent me straight to the manor instead. That would also explain why he hid me in the forest and went off on his own. I need to find him soon and thank him for keeping me safe. It was another quartering Duke attack, right? We're not sure yet. For how many deaths there were, the clues are awfully scarce. Quartering Duke cases always result in two concurrent victims. The crime would appear to have a different modus operandi. The quartering Duke did him in, no doubt. If I catch that bastard skulking around the island, I'm a clean as clock. It said that the quartering Duke has killed over 100 people, but even that was over the course of half a year. On the other hand, murdering 22 people at once, all of them first-rate detectives, no less, could hardly be the work of an amateur. I get the impression that he commits grisly deeds for the thrill of it, but otherwise, his identity is a complete mystery. We began our investigation at the research facility. Then the Chief's D-pad received a message from a surviving Alliance member. Techie detective draws out his own D-pad and plays an audio file. The recording cuts off there. All of the sound was low and full of static. Even I could grasp what it signified. Load quick save file. That's senior detective's voice, isn't it? He's alive. Yes, I'm certain that's him. Making it through this situation unscathed. It's no wonder he's a legend among detectives. Is he really that incredible? You know the Dayless Night incident? It still shows up on the news. Not only did he solve it, he's a founding member of the DA. The Dayless Night incident? Even school books talk about that case. And you're saying he cracked it? I was a kid then, so I don't remember much, but it was the worst terror attack in national history, sparked by a religious movement. From that event onward, criminal atrocities swept the nation, which is part of why the Detective Alliance was formed. Solving a case of that magnitude would absolutely qualify him as a legend. Originally, we'd split up from the other detectives and headed to the manor to reconvene with Senior. Soothly, it must be a villain most foul for even Sir Senior to be forced into hiding. We must hasten. You mean there are other detectives here besides you guys? There's what, 6 more investigating the research facility? It's like a detective I would go on sale there. Load quick save file. Quick save file. No, I don't need to, I don't think. I'm still reeling from the heinous murders we have yet to unravel, but at least now there's a glimmer of hope. I believe we search every room. There's no sign of Senior. Maybe the culprit arrived here before we did. Senior would have realized that and escaped. If the message was intercepted, the culprit could have easily gotten ahead of us. Oh yeah, I see that happening. It took us, what, 10 minutes to get here? Okay, I clicked yes. What does that do? But there's only one path from the facility to here, and it's surrounded by sheer cliffs. No one could escape without us noticing. The detectives process the situation with impressive speed. I'm barely keeping up as I struggle to understand what it all means. Downtown's casual chit-chat is about the only thing that makes any sense to me. This room doesn't get wireless internet either. Why bother having a phone? Even if there was a router here, I doubt it would do you any good. Cause the island's off the grid? Not exactly. I tried connecting to a wired network in the research facility, but I couldn't get it to work at all. I made another attempt here at the manor a moment ago, but that failed too. The island's communication antenna must be down. But our D-pads can still link up to each other, right? What's the diff between that and our smartphones? Well, the D-pads have a unique communication system. As part of the R&D team, I must say it's truly amazing tech. Okay, we get it, so I can't even, chat with my followers. Could this be any lamer? I prefer to see this as an opportunity. That's it. You gotta be kidding me. Rowdy starts crawling on all fours like a dog right at the entrance of the room. She pressed her face to the carpet. What's wrong, Rowdy? Blood, I can smell it. Silence fills the room. The others all turn to look at Rowdy. Nearly missed it thanks to the rosy smell and red carpet. But the floor's got blood on it, see? From the entrance to them flowers. Rowdy approaches an empty vase and sticks her hand in it, pulling out a bloody knife. Bingo. To know which poor mug sauce this is, I'll tell you one thing, some goon was on the loose in here. How'd you even notice the smell? The blood is already dry. Been hunting with my old man since I was little. I've got the nose of a bloodhound. I'm not so convinced that helping on hunting trips would give you those kind of abilities, but it's astonishing nonetheless. Rowdy, that knife wasn't used here, was it? Nothing in this room but traces and stains. Guessing they only came by to hide the knife. I can track the scent, but the hall's chock full of roses. It ain't gonna be easy with them smelling up the place. Techie, do you have an alternate method? Of course. I go by this alias for a reason, after all. Techie probably puts a cute little machine that resembles a puppy out from his pocket. This is my tracking forensic friend. The Alliance helped me develop him. He can tirelessly trace down any scent.
Furthermore, he has small rubber treads to cover tricky terrain without disturbing the scene, and can move up to 15 kilometers per hour. He's also equipped with a transmitter so you can monitor him from a D-pad. Plus, he uses the same lithium-ion batteries that the international spot. Yes, that's very impressive. We'd love to hear more about it later, but for now, can we start tracking? I get a little carried away when I talk about my inventions. Now let's not waste any time. Use this tool. He's not a tool. This is my friend. Don't treat him like some... Techie may seem calm and collected, but careless remarks about his inventions are a clear sore spot of his. I better watch my words. Load quick save file. Yeah. Does that mean it's saving? Oh. Sorry everyone for blowing up like that. Let's get to tracking this time. Techie calms down, setting his dog-like machine. Sniffy Whiffy loose near the bloodstain. Sniffy Whiffy scoots around the floor just like a real dog. He's on the hunt. Let's open the door and see where he goes. I open the door and Sniffy Whiffy darts out the room, barreling down the hall towards the stairs. All I can pick up is roses, but he must have zeroed in on the trail of the blood. My nose wasn't getting jack squat. Strictly speaking, it's not the scent, but rather the air particles that he tracks. Hence why he isn't thrown off by other smells. So much for that whole nose of a bloodhound spiel. My nose is what got us this lead in the first place. Sniffy Whiffy stops at the painting just before the stairs to the entrance hall. Could this be the site of the stabbing? The knife must have been used somewhere else, like behind the painting. Behind it? What do you mean? Relax, Armor. This answer is clear if you think through it logically. Workaholic touches the painting as he inspects the frame. He then gently taps the artwork before pressing his ear against it. No question about it, there's a hollow space behind this painting. Still touching the painting, Workaholic moves his hand. The entire wall around it slips back like a sliding door, revealing a hidden package. Sniffy Whiffy, who had been waiting in place, begins moving again, right down the newly discovered path. How did you figure that out? Trade secret, you pick up a lot when you've been on the job as long as I have. Dang, Gramps, you got me rethinking my take on you. No cap, I might even I don't know, kinda sorta respect you now. I wish you wouldn't call me that. I'm still in my 20s, you know, barely, but it still counts. Workaholic tunes right in the face as the downtown slaps him on the behind. That blade was used somewhere up ahead. Wait up, bucko. It's wide enough for two, see? I'm taking the lead too, so keep your eyes peeled. Actually, would you mind guarding the entrance with Techie in downtown, Rowdy? I think my abilities could come in handy here. Armor and Doleful are to spearhead our foray into the secret passage, with me and Workaholic following after. Rowdy, Downtown, and Techie would remain at the entryway, acting as lookouts in case the tunnel is a trap. As for why I'm being brought along, it's probably because I won't be able to escape in this tunnel. I'm struck by the fact that Workaholic, the most experienced of the group, had definitely assumed a position behind me. These detectives don't miss a single beat. Alright, Armor and I will lead the way. As he speaks, Doleful and Armor enter the tunnel together. Workaholic and I continue behind them. The
four of us descend down a spiral staircase that winds its way underground. At the bottom is a gloomy underground tunnel. We proceed into it, using the light function on our D-pads to guide our way. The sounds are only footfalls echoing in the tunnel, as well as Sniffy Whiffy's treads crawling on the floor ahead of us. The air is dusty and reeks of mold, making it hard to breathe. Clear this place is seldom used. My love of cleanliness aches to ventilate the place. Dolphel's eyes narrow as he travels the tunnel. His usual fearful countenance is tense, as if he's an entirely different person. Impressive, is it not? Dolphel's intense concentration, that is. Workaholic whispers to me as if he's reading my mind. Rings number 14, he solved over 100 cases and survived just as many bloody encounters as us veteran detectives. Over 100 cases solved, the idea alone leaves me speechless. We can't be that far apart in age, and yet his track record is on a whole another level. What sort of heroic life has this seemingly gentle boy led up to now? What did Dolphel mean when he said his abilities could come in handy here? You'll see soon enough. He possesses what we in the Alliance would call the makings of a great detective. Dolphel stops in his tracks. Armor, stop. What happened, Sir Dolphel? Your leg is bleeding. Armor shines his D-pad's light on Dolphel's leg, revealing a trail of blood beneath his knee. Something reflects in the light just ahead of them. There's something at your feet. My guess is that it's a trap to ward off intruders. Judging by the texture, it must be some kind of wire. He's right. When I get close to the reflection, I see red dripping off an extremely fine wire. It's so razor thin it's difficult to see that. Were it not for the blood, it would have been nearly imperceptible, even in direct light. This is the wire Saw the Detective Alliance is currently developing. Why would the Alliance make something like this? For cutting locks to enter sealed rooms, or as a means of escape when restrained. Word is that it requires specialty gloves to handle. Best to avoid touching it, giving its intended use. It's so sharp, with enough pressure, it can cut straight through human flesh. It's a good thing I noticed it then. Workaholic produces medication and bandages from his pocket and begins applying first aid to Dolphel's leg. This is a rather nasty cut, but you're lucky to get off this lightly. Anyone else would have been liable to lose a leg in your position. Situations like these are about the only time my special skills end up useful. Special skill? What do you mean by that? For some reason, Dolphel struggles to reply. Workaholic steps in to answer. Dolphel is a danger magnet with a knack for close calls, from traps to wanted criminals, to finding murder scenes and even evidence. His innate intuition and power of insight have allowed him to survive. So that's how he has the makings of a great detective. In stories, detectives are always expected to survive, even when wrapped up in a personal case, even when their life is on the line. And now standing in front of a real life detective who embodies that very trope, it's not that impressive. In fact, I say I just bring misfortune to everyone and everything around me. It's kind of a miserable existence. Doleful Detective's expression flickers as he touches a bandage on his wrist. The countless traces of medical attention covering his body shows how much suffering he's constantly endured. So it's made me more sensitive to threats than the average person. I can always sense when I'm in danger, so think of me as your shield. I see the resolve within Dolphel's eyes as he speaks. He and I may look similar. Oh, I didn't see that. Armor chops the wire. Armor, that wire can cut steel. Just because you're wearing protective covering doesn't mean... Fear not, the suit in which I am clad is a product of my family's long-held secrets. Behold, the strongest armor known to man. The wire parts with ease. Sure enough, Armored Detective doesn't have a single scratch on him. Both Doleful and Workaholic widen their eyes and incredulity. No matter the trap, mine armor shall prevail. But putting me in front will minimize the total risk for our team as a whole. I can't stand idly whilst my companions are hurt. Armor speaks with a calmness that eases Doleful's taut expression. Despite the latter's brave front, he might have been nearing his limit. Thank you, Armor. In that case, I'll stay back a bit and keep an eye out. Armored Detective takes the lead as Doleful acts as a lookout behind him. Armor, I can sense a threat right in front of me, about head height. Another wire, understood. Without a second thought, Armor swings his hand toward the area. Chop, chop, chop. Sometimes Doleful's warning comes too late, and Armor runs into a wire, but even then it never leaves a mark. We continue safely through the darkness until, based on the signal, the tracker stops 5 meters ahead. It seems we arrived at the scene where the knife was used. We finally make it to the end of the tunnel with 0 injuries, safe for Doleful, of course. Sniffy Whiffy is parked right in front of a steel door, which means the bloody knife we found earlier must have been used right behind it. Hate to ask, Armor, but would you mind taking point? No need to apologize, Sir Workaholic. My armor exists for the very moments I must forge such paths. And yet Armor looks tense as he cautiously touches the doorknob. Goosebumps rub across my body. Deep down, I get the overwhelming urge to scream, "Don't open it!" It's as if my mind somehow knows that we're about to see something messed up. I have an extremely bad feeling about this. I'll open the door on the count of 3. 1, 2... The doorknob makes a click as it turns. My heart rate leaps, but I can't bring myself to look away. A blinding light flashes as the door opens, forcing me to avert my eyes. On top of that, a metallic stench envelops me. The way it sticks to my throat makes me cough. However, none of the other detectives show even a hint of fear as they proceed beyond. I hurry to follow them, but at that moment, Doleful cries out. As I step into the room, the first thing I see... Why does it keep asking me this? Is the ground dyed in crimson. The red spreads across so much of the floor that at first I mistake it for a carpet pattern. There's no way that's the case. Despite my hateful disbelief, the smell filling the air tells me it's blood. With each breath, the metallic stench fills my lungs, my stomach, my whole body. If I lose focus for a moment, I'll end up spilling my guts out. Upon closer inspection, I notice something floating in the ocean of gore. It's large and reminds me of a caterpillar. 4 other long, thin objects surround it. In a way, they resemble a quartet of lifeboats, all rowing in a different direction away from the sinking ship, but in truth they're human limbs, scattered about across the floor. Before us is a scene devoid of life. A man whose name I don't know gazes at me, his head half submerged in a sanguine sea. My eyes are transfixed as I stand there in a daze. There's a biting chill as if the temperature has dropped by quite a few degrees. My hands and legs tremble. I can barely stand. Every ounce of strength leaves my body. I must draw my willpower. This is all a bad dream. First crime scene, huh? I know it's hard to take in, but try not to look away. Without any concern to spare for me, Workaholic walks towards the pool of blood. Doleful, Armor, head back up and fetch the other 3 detectives. After that, I'd like you to ask the chief to come to the manor. He sums up the heart of the matter in a low voice. It's a homicide. Someone has murdered senior detective. Regardless of how detached he remains while objectively stating facts, it doesn't change the reality we're facing. A middle-aged man's corpse lies dismembered, his limbs strewn across the room we stand in. For the first time in my life, I am confronted with a murder scene. Chapter 1: The Case of the Dismembered Detective. I stand in a corner, my mind completely blank. This is my first time witnessing a murder scene in person. Saika's death is here in my mind, but this is different. Someone I know lies torn to pieces in a vivid sea of blood, dead. I'm no great detective, and although I tried to steel myself, coming face to face with a scene like this has me too weak to stand. Even once I regain my footing, my legs still struggle to remain upright. The metallic stench of fresh blood is one I'll never be able to get used to. I breathe through my mouth as much as possible. If I had the choice, I'd sprint out of this room this very second. He and the victim must have been well acquainted. His pain look when we found the body suggests that his mental burden is far greater than mine. Yet despite that, he shows no sign of weakness. How much experience solving homicides would it take to become a detective like him? I can't even fathom it. The way I am now. The other detectives who had been summoned by doleful detective are unable to hide their shock at the sight. Did he get off while we were rushing it over here? But that doesn't make any sense. We arrived at the manor 20 minutes after his message. For someone to chop up a body to this extent, hide the weapon, and escape in that amount of time is scientifically impossible. He was killed less than half a day ago. Let's reestablish the order of events. Senior contacted us at 12:40. We then split into teams and headed to Gormenghast from Snarks. Since we arrived at 1 o'clock, we can safely assume that the crime occurred in the 20 minutes it took to travel. Question, teacher, isn't there a chance that the criminal could have, booked it before we left Snarks? Not at all. We headed to Gormenghast as soon as the senior contacted us. Had the killer tried to escape, we'd have surely seen them en route. Thus, the killer must have been within the manor when we arrived. I can hoof it for days, but it still take me 10 minutes to run down the hill to the facility. Your theory checks out. So the key question is this: is the perpetrator still inside? Let's consider the time frame from when they could have made their escape. We found incompetent in the entrance hall and spoke for a time, then made our way upstairs 15 minutes later, so around 3:15 or 1:15. After that, thanks to Rowdy and Techie, we discovered the hidden passageway at 1:34. You can see the entire entrance hall from the corridor for the hidden passage, so escaping undetected would be a challenge. If the killer was in the manor, their only chance to escape would be the 20 minutes we spent investigating the second floor. Ergo, it is highly probable that they are, in fact, still within the manor. But wouldn't 20 minutes be more than enough time to slip away? You can make it outside easily enough, but the real problem comes after that. There's only one path from here to Snarks and no place to hide. The jig would be up if you were seen from a window. It simply isn't realistic. Exactly, I actually made a point of checking out the window. Hold up, no one's in the entrance hall right now. Isn't that, kind of sketch? Like they could totally escape whenever. The chief is heading over from Snarks as we speak. If the killer tries to flee now, they're certain to get caught when they make it down the mountain path. Which means the foul slayer does indeed still lurk within these walls. Just a moment, there's a more viable method.
Incompetent, if you're the killer, then there is no issue regarding the timing. It would all be entirely feasible. My voice cracks as I'm caught completely off guard. Me, the killer? How does that make any sense? It's simple. All you need to do is hack up Senior, then lie in the entrance hall, faking unconsciousness. Easily done in 20 minutes. If the culprit was unable to escape the manor, we can only assume that the culprit is you. What are you saying? There's no way I could chop someone apart in 20 minutes. Not to mention all the wires that were set up along the underground passage. How would I have gotten past those? I raised my voice in protest without thinking. Even with armor and Doleful's help, getting through that passage took 5 minutes. It's hard to imagine anyone like me with no special traits making it through so quickly. There's the real conundrum. I figure you used some sort of trick. At any rate, I doubt it's necessarily impossible. What do you mean? Listen closely. Can you hear the voices above us? He's right. If I strain my ears, I can pick up sounds coming from the ceiling. Where are they coming from, though? We should be the only people inside the manor. In terms of layout, our current location is directly beneath the entrance hall. I presume that what we're hearing is a chief arriving at the manor. As this basement is likely a hiding spot, there may be extra space behind the floorboards so that noise cannot drift in from above. Now that he mentions it, my own eyes spot gaps in the ceiling where light is going through. It must be coming from the entrance hall above us. Regardless, the rooms are vertically adjoined. One could greatly reduce the time required to move between them by means of some gimmick. You could say tamper with the floor of the entrance hall, creating a gap wide enough for a person to slip through the basement ceiling. Workaholic's relentless reasoning leaves me overwhelmed. Even if there is a gap, there's no way someone my size could fit through it. Still, he's right about one thing. The entrance hall and the basement are awfully close together. How can I possibly clear my name now that we know it's possible to move between them? It's not like you can prove there isn't a hole connecting the ceiling to the entrance. Your whole... Lady Downtown has the right of it. So long as any such gimmick remains hidden, your accusation is out of the question. Perchance my plasma knuckles capable of winning any bout can make such a hole, but still. First things first, is it even possible to dismember an adult to this extent within 20 minutes? Even if the killer themselves is male, they would need an extremely deft-handed amputation to pull off something so difficult. Not like you need to scan them or bleed them. Any hunter could do it. Hell, it would have been a snap if I was the crook. So it's safe to assume you're the culprit then. Actually, I'd say there was. Workaholic probably shares my thoughts on that. So you notice as well, it's true, one could dismember a body in such a short amount of time if they used those wires we encountered. As he speaks, Workaholic holds up a blood-drenched wire. Unpleasant as it is, I'm reminded of how easily Doleful's leg was cut earlier. You mean someone used this wire on Senior Detective? Yes, in fact, it's possible that Senior Detective was already wrapped up in these wires when he got in contact with us. He may have done so under duress, after which the wires were pulled, slicing him into pieces. All that remains then is for the culprit to escape. I chanced on one of those wires. I went to get the others. My foot happened to slip on it since it was coated in blood. Based on the amount of blood, it's clearly not the same wire you first encountered. The killer must have anticipated us getting past the wires in the passage and discarded it on the floor there. Or perhaps the killer themselves set the traps in order to hide the murder weapon. Either way, you have no other recourse but to suspect incompetent for now. Speak up if you have any objections. I didn't do it. I shout on impulse. Regret fills me almost immediately. I say the same thing if I was guilty as would anybody in my shoes. I refuse to believe incompetent did it.
But that's all the more reason for us to find out what really happened. Agreed, I don't want to accept that a fellow DA member could do such a thing, but as a detective, pursuing the truth is paramount. Workaholic fixes me with a steely look. I want to speak up, but don't know what to say. I reached my limits just processing all of these theories. There's no room for me to make my own deductions. Hold up, ain't the idea of incompetent being the perp a bit too far-fetched? You got the wrong guy. Do you have evidence to support this? Called a gut feeling. That's downright scientifically impossible. We need to base our investigation on solid proof and logic. Back off, Poindexter. Are you looking for a fight? Time out. No more fighting. It's too early to confirm or deny that hypothesis. We can't rule out either conclusion yet. Sorry about that. I might have gotten ahead of myself. Workaholic claps his hands, interrupting the discussion. It appears we have a number of opinions. I'm going to the entrance hall to meet the chief. Let's investigate this individually after that. Sir Workaholic, we have many a detective assembled here already. Should we not join forces? Perhaps, but even in this short amount of time, our conflicting opinions have already come to light. Each of us seeks to tackle this case through a starkly different approach. I concur. I'll pursue my investigations in my own way, calmly and scientifically. What's with that glare? You got a bone to pick with me or something? I already apologized. That alone ought to disqualify you from this line of work. Downtown does her best to intervene. Doleful stands between the three of them, flustered and directionless. It doesn't seem like the investigation is going to start anytime soon. Just like Workaholic said, everyone's playing by their own rules, so no one has taken the lead. Everyone, I want to suggest we all work together, but the words die in my throat. There's no way I could be so bold when I'm the prime suspect. Unlike me, each of the detectives has their own talents and strength. It's my incompetence that really drives home how amazing they are. That's exactly why I need to speak up now. Now's not the time for arguing, wouldn't you say? I chime in, but my voice comes out so softly that no one hears me. Together, these detectives can solve any case. I failed to save someone again, even though Senior Detective was close by. What's the point of being a detective if all I can do is sit around and watch things happen? My self-loathing mounts as I listen to them bicker amongst each other. My position in this situation doesn't matter. What happens to me isn't as important as getting these detectives to work as a team. Everyone, listen. The other detectives turn to face me. Naturally, they look all dubious. I falter for a moment, but desperately push on. I know a lot of you suspect me. That's fine. There's a lot to suspect, and I understand that. But you can't. But can you all try to cooperate? I'm always down for a collab, but you're kind of asking for the impossible right now. Maybe we couldn't even agree on whether or not you're the prime suspect. That's why I want everyone to agree on what direction to take. What direction to take. That's right. Although I'm too tense to make a proper response, I force my voice out, trying to be bold. Please proceed with your investigation under the assumption that I did it. If we start there, you'll be less likely to have any more arguments like this one, right? The detectives fall silent. Maybe telling them to suspect me was too brazen a move after all. Is your head screwed on wrong or something? After all the effort we spent defending you, you have the guts to ask to be the suspect? I beseech you, do not give up. I'm not giving up. It's not as if I want to be the main suspect here, but it'd be even worse if the investigation stalled out because of me. I raise my voice with all my strength, my trembling hands balling into fist. I trust all of you far more than my own incompetence. If you work together, I know the truth will come out. The detectives silently taking my words. Not one of them speaks up. They all simply stare at me. I guess my suggestion was overstepping, but I don't regret it. So you insist that we're on the case? So you insist that because we're on the case, we'll end up proving you aren't the culprit? Such words make one feel blessed to be a detective. Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? I hear a cold, beautiful voice behind me. My breath catches as I turn around. Just how we respond when a suspect gives a statement like that. We continue to argue, never to find any common ground or take action swiftly and promptly. Her hair is white as snow, her gleaming eyes purple like her skin smooth with features like a porcelain doll. At her back stands a far from ordinary girl. The others are visibly thrown off by her arrival. It's clear that she stands out. Chief, why are you here? I specified that I would meet you at the entrance. Do you truly believe I would wait idly by when my dear friend has been murdered? I left our colleagues to themselves and went on ahead. We never told you about this basement, did we? We figured it'd be better that way, so no one would get hurt inside the tunnel. I noticed an echo beneath my feet upon entering, so I placed my ear to the floor. What should I hear but your voices? From there I deduced the general layout and discovered the hidden path that had been left open. Hardly a mystery, really. I startle as the girl gives me a smile. Compared to how she treats the others, her gaze on me feels more personal. No, I'm probably mistaken. I must be. So, you're the newcomer I've been hearing about. I am Ideal Detective. I lead the team working to stop the quartering Duke. Your spirited appeal earlier was admirable. I'm expecting much of you, so keep at it. I apologize for losing my composure just now. Thank you, Recalling. But first, allow me to clear up a certain misconception. Each and every member of the Quartering Duke investigation is a suspect. You, I, or any of us has the means of carrying out this murder. Commotion erupts as the detectives speak over each other, which of course is unsurprising. Other than me, nobody else was in the manor at the same time Senior Detective died. On top of that, this murder required enough time for a full dismemberment. In what possible way could he have been killed? Ideal Detective has only arrived here, but her hydrangea-like eyes glimmer like gems as if they picked up on something. The outline of the case is clear. All that remains is for us to pool our efforts and ascertain the reality of the situation. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe it's time to make our reprisal. Soon enough, the other detectives join us at the scene. Oh crap. I vow that I, Mystic Detective, shall send the culprit straight to hell. But you weren't even close to Senior Detective, the girl said, coldly stating the facts. You mustn't mock our bond, Bookie. Members of the DR are spiritually bound. A middle-aged man in anachronistic Western garments and a black-haired girl clutching a hardcover book approach the body, chatting. The man has the mien of a seasoned veteran. The girl, on the other hand, looks around 10, yet doesn't flinch at the sight of a corpse. Both of them must be experienced detectives. I, posh detective, ranked number 5, and the DA have already arrived at the crux of this mystery. The woman, dressed so elegantly that she looks out of place, jabs a finger at me. Our culprit is a commoner found unconscious, incompetent detective. The hastily hidden knife on the second floor proves he was unable to escape. Now hold on a minute. Didn't Ideal reject the theory just now? I beg your pardon? Her theory? The woman called Posh Detective speaks to someone in a motorcycle suit, who smiles as if she's enjoying herself. I don't smell Renegade lingering around. Where'd he go? Snack break? Upon arriving, he decided to abstain, stating that this case didn't interest him. I imagine you'll find him napping on the first floor living room. Napping? Even though Senior Detective, a legend in our field, has been killed? Renegade's non-conforming nature is his strong suit. I'm sure he'll put his talents to use later on, so let's leave him be for now. Lenient leadership like this is why high-ranking agents defy your orders. Classified detective and detective gentleman didn't even show up. On the honor of the Pinkerton name, I swear that I will wrest the title of chief from you. Ideal Detective doesn't flinch and merely smiles at Posh Detective's belligerence. Thank you, Posh. Zealous subordinates such as yourself allow me to plunge into my work without fear, despite the risk. Should the enemy ever succeed in removing me from the front lines, I entrust the detective lines to you. I'll thank you not to speak such ominous things. Your achievements far surpass mine. Nothing of the sort could ever happen. I shall supplant your position by my own merits. Be sure of it, my destined rival. Workaholic explains the situation. Once he's finished, Ideal addresses us. As you can see, Senior Detective, believed to be the last surviving member from the DA headquarters, has been murdered, which means in all likelihood that the perpetrator is part of the DA as well. Tension rises across the room. Some detectives look at each other while others turn their gazes at me. It doesn't seem like they're going to stop suspecting me anytime soon. That common pleb simply must be the killer. My high-born brain cells assure me so. I agree. Rationally speaking, no one but incompetent could be the culprit. His story is dubious from A to Z. Though you two are of common birth, your words ring true. I wasn't actually praising you. Let's begin by clearing up the most fundamental misapprehension. Incompetent is no intruder. I personally invited him to our meeting as a formal member. You personally invited him? But why? Workaholic addresses the elephant in the room. Even I'm hearing this for the first time. I have no idea why she intends for me. As if sensing my confusion, Ideal's eyes meet my own. Those hydrangea-hued irises implore me to trust her. It's simple, really. I wish to have the person I trust most at my side. He may not remember, but he once saved my life. I consider his potential abilities to be no less than extraordinary. I requested that Senior Detective invite him to the island, but I didn't anticipate his methods would involve kidnapping and confinement. Workaholic's mouth hangs open as Ideal casually explains the unexpected, which makes sense. This is an extreme mixture of business and private affairs. I can tell he is in no state to begin questioning her. Not to mention, I'm quite surprised myself. I saved her life, but we only just met. I have more questions than I can count, but at the very least, this does make me seem a bit less suspicious. Now's not the time to make any clumsy comments, so I stay quiet and let Ideal take the floor. Is that really it? Something smells fishy to me. It's true what they say, your nose is unmatched, but please suspect away. There's nothing to feel guilty about. So if Incompetent isn't the killer, who is? All of us, save for Incompetent, were in the research facility when Senior got in touch with us. So we were all away from the scene. Excellent question, Doleful. That very occurrence is what caused you all to suspect Incompetent, correct? That was the culprit's first trap. Senior Detective's message was not, in fact, sent from down in this basement.
Everything she says is like a book. That's funny. I have it. His spirit was compelled to contact us post-mortem. Quite possible with the right voodoo ritual. Keep quiet, you occult-obsessed twit, snapped the girl, scolded the man for his useless comment. Naturally, mystic is incorrect, but making the dead speak is a step in the right direction. I've tested and this basement has no signal. Contacting the outside simply is impossible from in here. The other detectives pipe up in shock. Does this mean that senior detective was restrained other than the basement when he made contact? That can't be right. There are 20 minutes between the message being sent and the detective's arrival at the manor. It would be impossible to drag someone down that narrow, wire-filled passage. I mean, there's blood on the ceiling. Maybe the floor flips. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's gotta be the case. That's why there'd be blood on the ceiling. It like rotates like this. Anyways, it's a fact that Senior contacted us. If not from the basement, how else could he have done it? It's a simple trick, really, once you thought it out. The culprit imitates Senior's voice, as I'm doing right now. Ideal sounds just like Senior Detective as she speaks. If my eyes were closed, I may well have mistaken her for the man. She's that skilled at impersonating him. Vocal mimicry. That's certainly a possibility if the killer is the kind of person I imagine them to be. Vocal mimicry. I've heard about this historical skill from my mentor. It originated from Edo period theater. He told me there are established modes of practice that in DA where disguises often come in handy. Many were experts in the art, though I doubt I could ever master it, no matter how hard I tried. Is that why you're so certain the culprit is part of the Detective Alliance? If a traitor lurks in our midst, then the massacre at Snark's would be plausible enough, as would the idea of a fake message from the senior detective. Such criminal acts would be feasible for another detective, paradoxically increasing the odds that one is indeed the culprit. A mere intruder killing 22 research facility detectives would be inconceivable. This was most assuredly an inside job. We were unable to control our turmoil when we discovered the bodies in the facility, and so did the traitor among us bide their time. The killer would have an easy time manipulating us to recall. A far easier time than slipping up through the ceiling to the entrance hall. Hold up, I don't care how cool detectives are. No one can just copy people's voices. If we are professionals in logic and reason, then our opponent is a specialist in homicide. One or two impossible feats would hardly faze them. Don't let your perception limit your perspective. Bodily alterations, unfeasible acts, a murderous fiend will stop at nothing to achieve their aims. Both of them fall silent. If that phone message was falsified, Chief, then by the time we received it, Senior was precisely, he was already dead, or at least in no time to speak. The culprit used the call to tamper with the chronology of the crime. So the dismembered body is meant to make us think that this was done by the quartering Duke, as well as to sort the time of death. How ingenious. My deepest apologies for allowing the killer's ploy to deceive me. It would seem I still have much more to learn. Workaholic hangs his head. Ideal smiles gently at him before continuing to speak. The culprit set up Senior's death in here and fled with his D-pad. Then, per their plan, they contacted me as we investigated Snarks.
In doing so, they summoned the DA members to the manor so that Senior's body would be discovered. Hold up, boss. We all heard that recording you made of old Senior's message, right? Is it even remotely scientifically possible that none of us would notice his voice wasn't the same? That would be due to the peculiarities of the human memory. The human brain excels at recalling visuals, but struggles to do the same with linguistic and auditory information. Because of this, it's not uncommon for people to be capable of identifying a caller on the phone, even if it's someone they know well. Yeah, sometimes once you hear a person's name on the phone, your memory makes the connection with their voice. Bank transfer scams are a prime example. The scammer begins providing the caller's name, so you fall for it even if their voice doesn't match. You end up convincing yourself that any oral discrepancies are the result of a poor connection. Likely so, the whole thing seemed contrived. You can do all this and why respond to the summons, dispatching detectives to follow the whims of a killer? The gall? Because I wanted to believe it was him. For the first time, Ideal Detective's expression grows dark and serious. If the culprit was impersonating Senior, it meant he couldn't speak. It meant I would never see him alive again. That's why I decided to split our forces in two, all the while hoping the Senior still lived. By virtue of their self-defense expertise, I sent Armor and Rowdy to the manor in case there were any traps. But as you can tell, my conjecture was right on the mark. I never detest my powers of insight as much as I do today. Her mirthless, sorrowful laughter startles me. I realize now that those skilled in deductive reasoning can also foresee the grim future. Ideal predicted the death of her friend. The pain she's feeling must be greater than I can even imagine. However, a detective's job is not to lament tragedies, but to unravel truths behind them and reverse their bleak outcomes. Our 23 murdered comrades will not go unavenged. On this you have my word. Ladies and gentlemen, I call upon your aid. If all 13 of us combine our efforts, I know for a fact that we can stop the quartering Duke. I realize that everyone is silent, each of them listening intently to what Ideal is saying. It is incredible to think that they were all arguing just moments ago. In such a short amount of time, the strength of her abilities and resolve has gained the trust of her fellow detectives. Now, without further ado, there's something I'd like us to all investigate. I'll send the details via D-pad. For now, please go where instructed. I have a vague sense of what really happened here. By the time you finish, the truth should take shape and reveal itself before us. Ladies and gentlemen of the Detective Alliance, let us reverse this tragedy. After receiving directions from Ideal, the others take their leave from the basement to begin their investigations. We've been divided into teams of 3, leaving Ideal, Armor, and myself with the crime scene. Ideal appears to be deep in thought, so I decide to join Armor in examining the body. True to the quartering Duke's name, the victim's head, arm, and legs have all been severed away from the torso. The more I look, the more horrific the manner of death appears. It's so savage I can't believe the culprit was even human. But the cruel truth is inescapable. What lies before us is the depraved work of not a monster but a person. Compton, even if the culprit used a wire, do these cross sections on the corpse not appear too clean to you? The cross sections. Grudgingly, I take a closer look at the severed parts. They've been cut so perfectly straight it seems unnatural. Surely a human body couldn't be that easy to slice clean through. No matter how clean a wire's edge may be, by no means could mere human strength saw through a limb in one smooth stroke. When cutting paper with scissors, the blade's path shifts each time you part and join them.
The culprit didn't use human strength, but rather some other method to widen the wire around Senior Detective. It can only mean they use some sort of machine or some kind of weight or something beyond human strength. Come to think of it, why is blood dripping from the ceiling? Does human blood have the force to spray that high into the air? Armor really does fall on the bronze end of the spectrum. It takes all kinds to be a detective, I guess. However, being that I'm the top suspect in this case, his candor and utter lack of suspicion are a total relief. Though he does strike me as kind of an enigma somehow. I see you've managed to relax a bit, incompetent. Ideal approaches, visibly enjoying herself. I'm glad that deer in the headlights looked from before it's melted away. I suppose it did have its charm. Were you able to sort out whatever was on your mind, Ideal? Yes, I've nearly deduced every element of this case. All that's left is to have the rest of you set to work finding the evidence. We only just started, and she's already pieced together the truth of the situation. With intellect like hers, it's no wonder she's the de facto head and second highest ranked member of the DA. If I may, Lady Ideal, wherefore did you station me here? I scarcely believe you would require my assistance. You would be correct. Frankly, I have low expectations of your armor as far as your powers of deduction are concerned. Ideal gives a quick, straightforward reply to the point where it's almost impressive. However, no one defends others with as much sincerity as you. Your personality impacts the team far more than you realize. It's because Incompetent feels comfortable around you that he's able to tackle the case with a calm mind, isn't that right? Though, if I'm being honest, there's nothing more in here worth examining at this stage. So all of our investigative efforts were for nothing. However, that's precisely why I can say with certainty that you were on the right track. Wonderfully done, both of you. Were another detective skilled in deduction around, I'm sure you would have picked up on a multitude of other points. Our success lies in teamwork, considering how much progress is made by combining our strengths rather than working alone. I can't be here with me because I was positive that you would understand how crucial this concept can be. At this moment, I see her not as our mature, mysterious leader, but for the young girl she is, as if her mask has slipped off. Now then, let's give the other detectives their next instructions, and stick close if you would. I wish to avoid moving alone. With that, Ideal leads us out of the basement. There is nary a soul before the passageway. Perhaps you should try using the map function on your D-pad. This is a map of the manor. See how each detective's position is marked? Anyone who has a location sharing feature on will appear there. It is set to on by default, but there are times you may prefer to turn it off, such as when visiting the restroom. Incredible, you can see where everyone is at just a glance. But I do not spy Lady Downtown, Sir Workaholic, or Lady Rowdy. Indeed, I asked them to stand guard outside. There's a possibility the culprit may have fled there, you see. There are some things I want to tell you alone anyway, Incompetent.
Ideal continues her explanation. The map has 3 additional features. First is the marking function, which flags mystery points, locations that detectives find dubious. Try detecting these mark points if your investigation stalls out. Now, do you see how that one spot on the map is a different color? That is a location I personally deem suspicious. An evidence square. You can assume these areas contain hidden evidence. Finally, there's the share action function, used by each individual to share whatever it is they're currently up to. As a demonstration, let's try moving the cursor over to Bookworm Detective. You should immediately be able to tell what she's doing. A detective's next action, such as infer or inspect, will be displayed overhead. Hover the cursor over a detective to see where they intend to move next. She has an odd feeling about the fireplace. Bookworm truly does have a good sense for this. I doubt she'll figure it out by herself. So here's a question for you, Incompetent. What would you do if you encountered a mystery you couldn't solve on your own? Sometimes it's better to let your companions lend a hand. But detectives are such prideful creatures, and sadly, most conduct their investigations alone, so they lack experience collaborating. From what I've seen so far, Bookworm is one such example. Encouraging her to cooperate would likely be pointless. So what should I do? You should intervene on their investigation, that is. Intervene. In other words, use a D-pad to instruct them to do something other than their current task. Mystic is nearby, so he'll suffice. Let's have him make his way to Bookworm so they can investigate together. Now issue the command if you would. I freeze up as she casually orders me to do something completely unexpected. Why so stiff? Honestly, you're too cute. I'm merely asking you to pretend to be me and give some direction, that's all. That's all? What ideal detective is asking for isn't so easy to just gloss over. Even so, her expression remains dead serious. You'll be fine, like sending an email. Here's my D-pad. Try issuing a command to him. Facing the unknown is precisely what a detective is obligated to do. Everything is a chance to gain experience, so go on. Intervene with detectives to reassign their Okay. Take a look. See how even with both their inference values combined, they are unable to solve the mystery of that fireplace. At times like these, you should give a command to the detective who is skilled at assisting. Detectives are able to assist each other from adjacent positions. Any character who is making it inference already assisting lets you add a helper's assist value. Utilize this command properly to keep. Okay. Nicely instructed. I'm impressed. I can already feel their power as if inference had been enhanced. Now they should easily be able to check the fireplace. Posh is keeping the area near the chandelier all to herself. Gourmet and Doleful are holding back to give her space. Holding back, however, is unacceptable. Let's have Gourmet assist Posh with investigating the chandelier. Excellent. Now what should we have Doleful do? Discovering evidence. Not really. Yeah, it wasn't even an option. What the hell? Oh. Part of the carpet's been cut off. I wonder why. Why should I cooperate with you? The chandelier is scratched. Okay. Or some switch at the fireplace or something. Why must I investigate with you? Asked the girl, her lips pouting in dissatisfaction. Don't say that. Think of this as a chance to learn from your father. Perhaps you hold a rustic charm. Firewood. That's it. So that's it, mused the girl, finally pinning down what seems this. A burnt glove.
Your directions have truly made a difference. When I arrived, you pushed the orders to work together. The key difference between detectives and police is, while we may be an organization, we solve cases alone rather than together. To put it unkindly, detectives see themselves as the lead role of an investigation. Thus, our capability as a team of experts goes unrealized. If we're to take on the quartering Duke, we can't abide reckless behavior. Let's you and I take the lead in encouraging everyone to collaborate. How could someone like me do that? There's no way any of the detectives will follow what I say. Your tendency to downplay yourself is a virtue, but also a weakness you will be forced to address someday. Leaders who make history are often said to be cowards, likely because they fixated not on their potential but their limits. Know your weaknesses, and in time you will know all your strengths. Why do you have so much faith in me? She opens her eyes wide, fretting over something with an unfocused gaze. I'd say I can't tell you yet, but that would be selfish of me, wouldn't it? I should let you know before something happens. The true reason I called you here, that is. The elusive air around her feels tense. I'm frozen in place as her hydrangea-hued eyes stare at me. Incompetent. My name is... We're incompetent. At that moment, a powerful force crushes me and my vision goes black. Someone suddenly leaps on my back, taking me to the floor. My head spins, a spark explodes behind my eyes, and consciousness grows hazy. A strong pressure on my throat. As my voice involuntarily slips out, I finally realize that someone is strangling me. Everything's fading. Renegade detective, stop. Are you alright, incompetent? What in the world are you thinking, renegade? Turn off your D-pad's location sharing and you can pull up as many ambushes as you want, the way I did just now. You're talking to the wrong person. Incompetent here deserves a deep, sincere apology. The lanky man has a nonchalant air about him. He turns to me wearing a fake smile. The name's Renegade. I'm a virtuous investigator with a penchant for practical jokes. My favorite phrase is world peace, and I spend free time volunteering. The conversation was so serious I just had to butt in with some levity. He prattles on with his apology, finishing up with a cackle. I startle when I notice a line of blood dripping down my neck. Is it really that funny to choke someone so hard that your nails rip their skin? I was generally preparing to die. How far is this guy willing to take a joke? Now he's beaming at me. As fickle as ever, but this time you've gone too far. Do so again, or I'll exercise my authority as chief to restrain you. Tell us what you've gathered about the case. You got me. I did feel a bit out of character the way you got so upset. You planned to make me swear I'd cooperate from the very start, huh? It was worth it. This case is too transparently pure, so boring it makes me nauseous. The culprit must be so self-satisfied. There's no beauty in it. Killing should be ugly beyond redemption, all by emotion. What are you talking about? His words are utter nonsense. What's more, he says it all so casually, as if he's telling a joke. I'm not equipped to understand the person standing before me. And with that, Renegade taps my shoulder and departs. A rather peculiar detective.
I stopped myself just in time. It was like talking to a villain, but I obviously can't say that. It's like talking to a villain, right? Your intuition is spot on. As a matter of fact, he killed his mother and father with his very own hands during his youth. The reason is simple. No detective understands homicidal maniacs better than he does. He's been granted a degree of freedom on the condition that he uses his unique skills to work with the Detective Alliance. Although his deductive prowess is on par with my own, his personality stops him from working with others, keeping him at rank number 4. He's the most unorthodox detective in the world, a real renegade. I'll just have to find a way to trust in him. This has taken up more time than expected. Let's move on to the meat of the investigation. Renegade told us to inspect the scrap of carpet that had been discovered. A careful analysis of evidence like this can help move a case along, potentially revealing new evidence glares. Of all the detectives nearby, Posh and Techie specialize in analysis. Let's have Posh take a look. The scrap of carpet, when we approach it, scientifically there's only one explanation for how it was cut. We need to investigate the floor of the entrance hall. Excellently done. Now we have something new to consider. There isn't much time. Since we cannot direct Posh, what should we do to draw an interference? Oh, it's awful.
The gaps are wide enough to pass a wire. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to call it an end for tonight. Be back on tomorrow. Thanks for watching.